Time for business, and William Edwards is here. Hello, William.
Hi, Claire.
So another week drawing to a close without a deal on that second bailout for Greece, but we're hoping we might be able to see something on Monday.
That's the increasing hope. Yes, of course, this was supposed to be done and dusted, several times in the past now, but Monday is the hope for a final deal on this second Greek bailout. Greek politicians have, of course, been struggling to agree with the terms under which they will get this 130 billion euros from the EU and the IMF. They have already agreed to make a number of large further cuts, but there's also going to be closer supervision of the Greek economy. Let's take a look at what's going to be involved.
A rare glimpse of happy times. A buzzing Athens restaurant, Greek families and friends celebrating the Ash Thursday holiday.
Everyone is quite looking forward for this day and wants to spend some time with his friends and have a laugh and everything. Just forget about everything else, especially these days.
These days that have seen Greeks squeezed by tough austerity measures, with more still to come. The Greek government's agreed to implement new measures in order to get a second bailout package. European and IMF leaders want to get the €130 billion deal finalised on Monday. It's expected they'll include controls to make sure they can regulate how Greece is spending its financial aid. So what are these controls? Full-time financial monitors will be in Athens to keep tabs on what the government's spending. Greece will have to maintain a third-party bank account with enough money in it to pay its investors. And before aid is released, Greece has to prove it's met a list of 24 prior actions, like showing how they will slash government spending. Tough terms, but ones that Greece is likely to agree to. The country will go bankrupt without financial aid, but the bailout lenders want to protect investors and make sure these billions are properly spent. They'll help Greece avoid default, but only with strings attached.
Now, of course, a lot of the political direction for solving the Greek crisis has come from Germany, the richest nation in the Eurozone. But patience with Greece for many there seems to be wearing thin, particularly in the business community. Today, an interview with the head of Bosch is being published, in which he says that Greece should leave not just the Eurozone, but the whole of the EU. Now, we're joined by our correspondent down the line, Jessica Soltz from Berlin. Thanks very much for joining us this morning, Jessica. Tell us a bit more about these comments from Franz Fehrenbach, the head of Bosch, and indeed from other business leaders in Germany as well.
Well, I think just as the dust has settled on the riots in Athens, I think Franz Fehrenbach, the head of Bosch's interview today, might spark up more problems. He says that Greece should be kicked out of the Eurozone and the European Union, calling it an unbearable burden on the single currency. He said that if Greece doesn't return to the drachma itself, then changes should be made to the EU treaties to be able to expel it. And he had many harsh words about the country, where there are phantom pensioners, he called them, and where wealthy people don't pay enough tax. But although these words are particularly strong, he does actually join a chorus of voices in Germany, especially in the business world, as you said, who actually feel the same way. Manager magazine, the magazine publishing this interview today, interviewed 300 top managers in Germany and found that 57% feel the same, that Greece should leave the euro, many saying that it would be the best thing for the country. The chairman of Commerzbank saying that Greece should release itself from the shackles of the euro. But as Fehrenbach thinks that kicking Greece out of the euro would be an incentive to make other countries get their economies in order, many other business leaders here feel that Germany would be cutting off its nose to spite its face if it allowed countries within the eurozone to fail and to drop, such as Greece, because of course we know Germany's benefited the best from the single currency because it's been able to export to its European Union neighbours at a lower rate.
Now, Jessica, it's Claire here. It sounds like the business community is losing patience. Is this being reflected on the political side of things?
Yes, absolutely. I think that in the political realm and also by German people here as well, the attitude from the Germans towards the Greek has really oscillated since the beginning of the debt crisis in Greece. We know there was a huge reaction against agreeing to the first bailout, but Angela Merkel, to her credit, has really put forward the idea that it's important for Germany to support Greece. But in recent weeks, we've really seen Germany frustrated with the fact that these reforms have not been put in place in Greece. These reforms, of course, a condition for a second bailout. A harsh from Germany's finance minister, Wolfgang Schäuble, who said putting more money into Greece would be like throwing it into a bottomless pit, which, of course, angered the Greeks no end. And also the Germans very angry about their portrayal in the media in Greece. Merkel and Schäuble now have been portrayed in German newspapers Greek newspapers wearing Nazi uniforms, which many people here feel, of course, is horribly distasteful. And as a time when people here are very pleased with the way the Chancellor is handling the Greek debt crisis, they feel that the Greeks' attitude is very ungrateful.
Jessica Saltz reporting from Berlin. Thank you very much. So moving on to the markets now, a lot of uncertainty, as we were just hearing, still surrounding Greece, but some good news coming out of the US.
Absolutely. The markets on Wall Street closed at their highest since 2008 on Thursday. That is just before the beginning of the economic crisis. It was March 2008, and markets saw highs they haven't reached since then. So here we go. We can see that things ended firmly up over there, and that optimism has also carried over to the Asian markets, which are also in the green. Of course, we have to remember that the markets are not always the best measure of these things. They can be overconfident, and you have to take these things with a pinch of salt. But it is, like you say, a positive psychological milestone, at least there.
Moving back to Europe, a bit of a entente cordiale between the UK and France.
Yes, following, of course, recent spats over the Eurozone debt crisis, of course, with David Cameron of the UK using his veto at one EU summit. There has been a bit of tension between the UK and France, but today they're announcing a deal here in Paris, which will see civilian nuclear power at the top of the agenda. The deal will apparently create thousands of jobs and be worth over €500 million. This new cooperation on nuclear power between the UK and France. And, of course, it comes in the wake of the Fukushima disaster in Japan. That nuclear disaster, of course, put a lot of people off nuclear power, particularly Germany, which is now scrapping nuclear in the long term. But France and the UK obviously putting their weight back behind nuclear in the wake of that disaster.
And Paris and London cooperating in other areas as well.
That's right. It's not just nuclear, it's also military cooperation. In particular, we're expecting to hear something about new drones or cooperation on aerial unmanned aircraft, as they're also known. Of course, this has been a massive growth area in defence spending in the last decade or so, since really the invasion of Afghanistan by the US and its allies in 2001. And it has been the US and their manufacturers who have spearheaded developments in drone manufacturing. Now, of course, big European developers such as Airbus and BAE Systems will be keen to get a part of that, and it looks like we may be hearing something along those lines.
And finally, if you've still got some French francs lying around, you don't have very long to get them changed into euros, do you?
Yeah, bad news, I'm afraid, for holidaymakers who have been in France over the last, well, I suppose more than 10 years ago now, because, of course, the euro replaced the French franc a decade ago now. Today is the last day you can exchange your old French francs for euros, but you do have to get to a branch of the Banque de France, so you do have to be in France, I'm afraid. So any tourists watching, tourists who are here quite a while ago now and still have French francs, I'm afraid you've left it a bit too late.
You've got to jump on a train, on a plane very quickly.
Eurostar or whatever it is, or get on the plane straight away. But those living in France who still have francs, you can still go along to the bank today and change them for euros.
All right, thanks very much, William, for the day's business news. Do stay tuned to France 24, all the latest headlines coming up in just a few minutes.